never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.
Hi guys, welcome back to my Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Today is a great day because I have got Dom Brightmon with me. Dom is a man who has discovered one of these secrets in life, that indeed, when you focus on advancing others, that automatically you advance yourself. And that is such a powerful thing. The gift of giving rather than focusing on receiving. And there is the fact out there, the more you put of a certain quality into the world, the more the world gives it back to you. And he's a man who lives that principle and who is a mentor to others and helps them to advance themselves. And I'm intrigued to hear what impact that had on him. Dom, thank you very much for coming onto my show.
Thanks a bunch, Stephan, man. Appreciate you for having me on, man. It's going to be fun on all the buttons.
Absolutely. Oh, Dom, it's all quite nice that what we do nowadays, our positivity. And sometimes, people say, you're so false. You can't be so positive. And I actually think, actually I am, because I've been in the darkness. I know how it feels when there is no light around you. So therefore, nowadays, I try to create the light. I try to be the light. So you didn't just wake up one day to become a positivity coach. So what is your story? How did you get into that?
Solid question. You brought up some solid points too, because heck, even in my day job, I'm known as the positive guy. And the thing is, one guy I remember mumbling under his breath, like, man, I bet you ain't got nothing positive to say today. I forgot even what happened, if there was any relevant current events that would shock and awe anyone, but I was still the same me altogether, who was happy and positive. But the thing was, like you mentioned, like, hey, I'm still human. We're all still human. We're going to have off days.
Yeah.
And I didn't get this way by waking up. This actually happened back in 2013, where I finally decided to make that my year of rebirth. And at the time we're recording this, there's always this whole, what's your one word for the year? Well, for me, that year was rebirth. That was the year of rebirth, because 2012 had a setback sandwich where July, that summer that year, Dad went out for a drive and he was doing his normal thing. But the thing was, he got lost, and 36 hours later, we got a call around a good 1:30 a.m. from a hospital in Silver Spring, Maryland, about a good 40 minutes outside of Baltimore in the US of A, saying that, hey, like, we found him driving on the wrong side of the road, and he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And on top of that, it gets even better. And about a month and some change later, on my 21st birthday, on my way to IT security class, get into a car accident. I'm going to make a left turn, and then the brake jams on my car, skid into the side of the curb, boom. Car basically gone for about a month. And the thing with personal and professional life, I had a part-time job at the library at the time, while being a full-time college student. And the thing was, I didn't have the self-awareness to realize that we have one life, and that if you try to separate your personal and your professional part of your life, it's not going to really work, because they're going to meld into one, because it's the one life you live and the one life you lead. And I was called into a meeting with my boss at the time and a couple of the managers. She listed these areas where I was screwing up with some miscommunication issues, and all in the span of a good 90 days of a setback sandwich, where it was like, wow, so hero, my dad, he's going through his decay, his last few years of decadence, and then me losing my car for about a good month. Thank God I didn't get any physical injuries, and then almost thinking I was going to lose my job afterwards while trying to finish my degree. And I just really needed to find a way to really change myself for the better. So finding personal development was really what helped me to get better. And that happened one day when I was at work after a couple of college classes. I went to the leadership section of the library, picked up one of John Maxwell's books, and after reading it and listening to it, it changed my life forever and realized, wow, I don't have to always read the stuff that I'm assigned to in textbooks in college and school. I could actually read stuff outside of there and actually fall in love with reading again because of the growth that happens after that. So that's what started the whole journey.
Excellent. Excellent. And sometimes you need something that resets your life, that where just you're forced to get off your own treadmill and life pauses and you think, shit, okay, what's happened now? And that is often an injury. I see it again and again and again in those patients who come to me to be anesthetized for surgery, often after trauma, after an accident, etc. And there is sometimes a palpable anger there. I need to work. I need to work. And I said, well, when was the last time you haven't worked? When was the last time you actually thought about your life? Are you heading the right direction? Those kind of things. Could it be that this trauma, that shit that has now happened to you, that it's actually maybe a bit of a blessing? And the amount of times that lights go on in someone when they suddenly get a bit quiet and I realize, okay, that seed has been planted. So there you were, seed planted. And then what happened? You took action. You actually just said, oh, bugger it. Take a book and we just see. Interesting. Interesting. From there on, okay, so you said, okay, I want to learn more about that. How did you go about it?
Yeah, so one of my favorite books from Maxwell Thinking for a Change, there were 5 particular questions scattered throughout the book, and I decided to make that part of my daily routine where 2 of those 5 questions Ben Franklin would ask himself every day. The first one would be, what good will I do today? Focusing on doing good in the world, like just having that intention set, especially if it's the night before, because the thing is, if you ask yourself that question the night before, your brain gets cooking in your subconscious brain. And then sometimes unexpected moments happen for you to really display that. Because funny enough, one day, like after writing that down, I was just going to a grocery store and there was this guy, looked like he might have been homeless, looked a little disheveled and things like that. And he dropped some of his change on the floor. And I went to go pick it up. And he's like, hey, don't do that. I'm gonna stab you. And I just still went for it anyway, because I was already halfway there. I grabbed and put the change back in his hand. Then he just went in and gave me a hug. And he was like, thank you, brother. Thank you. And it's just that small things like that. It's not always the big things that really make people happy. It's just the small things of, hey, giving someone their change back. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, what the heck am I going to do with stolen change? That's not mine anyway. That's bad karma and being invited into my life. Like giving something back that was lost to, or should I say misplaced from someone saying just because they had butterfingers for a moment. So just focusing on doing good for the day. And then when it comes time at the end of the day for reflection, asking yourself, hey, what good did I do today? Because the thing is, when you seek to do good, you reflect on it, then you can continue to allow that to compound over time. And then, of course, the other 3 questions, the next one would be, what did I learn today? And it doesn't even have to be big all the time. I know especially with this wonderful podcast, you said so many experts, like I think 287 episodes plus and counting and growing.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of tips and techniques, but it doesn't even have to be something huge. It just could be some little thing to make your mindset shift, like being able to learn how to smile more often, because it's another thing too I had to develop, because I've really used to not be a smiling guy as much when I was in my teenage years, and I sought to reshape and develop that. So learning how to smile more. Then the next one, what must I do? And that's really digging into some things that you may put on your to-do list that stays on your to-do list that never gets too done.
Excellent. I mean, but I love it. I love every single sentence you said and every single advice you have given yourself, every task you set yourself. Having said that, life throws you curveballs. Life just doesn't change just because you suddenly decide to become positive. Um, I, how would you answer, or what would you reply to someone who says, "Oh, what a bullshit this never works. This law of positivity, this is rubbish. Look at the world. Ukraine is starting, or Russia is starting the Third World War. You've got COVID. How can you be so positive? We've got a financial winter coming."
Yeah. So for those, I usually ask folks to, hey, think about what you're grateful for. Like
Yeah.
if you are alive today with all of your limbs, like that's something to be grateful for. Yeah, there's wars, there's people dying, but you're still alive today. Like focusing on that, it's like, oh yeah, financial crisis coming. Like, yeah, it freaking sucks. Yeah, financial crisis, the inflation, it's freaking annoying, darn near life changing for the worse if folks don't really find a way to shift out of that to the better. Yeah, it sucks, but you're at least alive and have an opportunity to change that for the better and actually shift your perspective. Because that's the thing, it's really focusing on what you can do as opposed to what you can't do, and then making steps to making that change happen. Because,
Mm.
like the classic saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, as with everything in life. Like when it comes to entrepreneurship, there's going to be months where if you don't make any money, you're going to be
Mm.
freaking pissed. Like if
Mm.
you're an author, there's going to be times where there's going to be lucky if you get a drop of one book sale, or if you even get any.
Exactly.
There's going to be a few
Exactly.
months you're going to be like, oh God, what the heck?
Well, exactly. That's so true. So true. And there are times when you want to be maybe in a certain mood, when you feel actually right now I need to switch on into the negativity. And I did that by choice when the Ukraine really kicked off. And I realized, hang on, there's a very real risk here of actually the world going tits up. So I went back into survival mode and focused on getting the facts. And so I followed a certain website, and a very good site about prepping, that actually broke down the world news exceptionally well. The guy was on fire, and I listened to it every day. And it was really good. So I was into the prepping mindset, and I just, pulled up my socks as far as what I could do. But I had to realize that my whole world was getting quite negative, that I was becoming quite the survivor again. And it's good. It's good to have the dude inside yourself, the guy who could quite happily walk over corpses in order to survive. You need to have that dude to be ready. I keep him chained up in a dungeon somewhere a little bit, because he doesn't need to be out all the time, and
Right.
he's quite a harsh guy, but I like him. I like him. It is when the metal meets the meat, then that's the guy I want to have in me. Having said that, yeah, I turned dark. So I actually chose on purpose to disconnect from that source of information. However crucial and actually informative it was. But I thought, okay, no, I've done now what I can do. I don't need to live in that mode. So I took the privilege of choice. And that's exactly what you are about. You're going out there, and the people that you're mentoring and that you're helping, you give them the superpower of intentional living. And that is amazing. So those questions that you asked are worth their weight in gold. I didn't actually know that Benjamin Franklin was the dude who brought them up. Good, I learned something. And again, see, here we are. Already, I woke up this morning. It's now 8:31. I learned something. Yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah, baby.
That's it. That's it. If you make that your mission to learn something, to do something good today for others, then this automatically sets you up with a smile, even if the world is not so nice. The financial winter hasn't gone away. COVID is still out there, and the Ukraine is still bombed to crap. And still, I've got now a little smile on my face because I've already learned something, and I know already I've done something good today. So that is beautiful. So even in the darkness, we can become our own lights. And I guess that is what you are all about. The positivity to create light in the darkness of others. Would it be fair to say?
Yeah, hashtag Mr. Radiance.
And indeed, I like that. Mr. Radiance. It is actually not bad. It's not bad. It is bizarre. That is really the core of leadership, isn't it? How would you define leadership? Everyone has a different definition, but what makes a good leader for you?
Yep, sure thing. Well, I usually define leadership as people see and people do. When people see you in action, and if they like what they see, they're going to emulate that.
Mm.
And heck, that even ties in when I mentioned my first ever book, Going North, is the art of emulation. Because one thing that I had to learn was to how, well, I guess what everybody wants to do is how do they create their own version of success? And that can be a whole different topic for a whole nother part of the interview, I guess. But like leadership is when people see you in action and they like it, they definitely want to do it. And I had a great example and a role model early in my customer service experience when it comes to having a paid job and not just in volunteership or at my local church. It was actually helping out customers and really getting paid for it. One guy who was so great with the customers, even borderline flirting with some of the ladies and always being quick with what he was doing when it comes to putting the books back on the shelf, just smooth with everything. Like I just saw a dude next, like, all right, let me put myself out there and do some of the things that he does and see how it works out. And of course, you're going to fail. It kind of goes back to earlier where it's like, oh, how can you be positive all the time? It's like we're human because you learn how to improv through life and see
Isn't
failure as a way to set yourself up for more success. So really,
Yeah.
it's all about taking that action that is definitely going to be the inspiration for others.
And that's so beautiful. So I guess what you have described there is showing integrity, is doing the right thing when no one else is watching. So integrity, humility, efficiency, all words that sometimes mean so little, platitudes that are thrown around. But when you actually integrate them into your life and really live by them, then suddenly the magic happens. I know this is powerful, powerful stuff, guys, out there. And you're so right. And sometimes you have to learn that in certain professions. Take me, I'm an anesthetist. I see people at their worst. They might be screaming in pain in the labor suite. They might be broken, literally broken in the emergency department because they walked in front of a car, etc. So people are at their worst. They're scared, they're frightened, they're angry, they're upset. And over time, I have learned to approach each and every situation in such a way that I gain the trust of this person very, very quickly. And in fact, you have got about 15 seconds to gain the trust of a person. If you have not achieved that at that moment, then chances are slim. There are enough studies out there to show that, for example, when it comes to dating, a woman walking into a room of men without her knowing, within 15 seconds, she has made up her mind who she would sleep with. So it is that kind of subconscious stuff that is happening. And that's 95% is nonverbal communication. So you can't just say, I'm happy out here. So I always smile. And therefore I'm so, but your eyes are dead and your shoulders are droopy and etc. So you need to practice that shit. Okay. You need to practice that. You need to practice actually lifting yourself up. Do you teach your I don't want to call them students, your participants, your mentees? Do you teach them how to change their state?
It really varies. Never really go too deep into that. I usually just give them tips and they take it for what they will. Because at the end of the day, you can get all of the information, knowledge, and the wisdom in the world, but if you don't
No.
apply it, then you're basically,
Oh, so true.
well, basically SOL.
So true. So true. Oh God. For a long time in my life, I've read every self-help book that was going, typically with a glass of Chardonnay in my hand, and read it. I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. Did I implement it? Oh, bullshit. Never, ever. Honestly. So the amount of Tony Robbins courses I've done, please, please. And it's just bizarre when you think back. So certain things I did, and especially in my profession, I became very good in those kind of things. When it came to private and to my own life, to me, oh my goodness. Nope, 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 nope. So there's this dichotomy, there's this craziness of what of real life and you truly believing and doing what you want to do, developing yourself literally by taking action, compared with, oh, that's a nice idea, oh, that's a nice thought, and then not taking action. So taking action is such an important thing in your mentorship, and you do it. Give us the examples. I mean, what your to-do list? How do you structure your to-do list? You say there are those things on that are really important. Well, for me, that's about 50 things every day. How do you do
Yeah,
that?
so for that, for that usually, and funny enough, I borrowed this technique from an old book. I believe it was 5 or was it 15 minutes of successful selling or something like that.
Yeah.
It came out like in the late 80s, possibly early 90s. But anyway, the technique was like at the end of the day, you'd have a jar of items, like things that you put on these little slips, even cut piece of paper. Because I usually keep my items on index cards, usually 3x5, sometimes 4x6s, depending on the pants. Sometimes nowadays they cut pants smaller nowadays, but a whole another subject. But anyways, just really taking those items that I didn't finish
Yeah.
and then putting them in a
For what?
actual jar and then pulling out which one and saying, okay, I guess this is one I'll have to do today. It's like, all right, I didn't get to editing an episode yesterday. I guess I got to do it today. It's like, oh, I did read this book today.
Yeah,
Then I
exactly.
guess I got to do this today.
Exactly. My wife is laughing about me because I use sort of books like that, and I put something weird on there just to make me
Nice.
feel the rebel in me, and make it, hey, that's my book, kind of a thing. But in there, I do keep notes of all the patients I've seen, but equally I put in there the to-do lists, etc. And then often enough, I'll tick things off, and that makes me feel good. I no longer nowadays feel like a failure. Let's say one thing about to-do lists. I was terrible. One of my core beliefs, as stuffed up as it is, as crap it is that I'm a failure. And I don't know where that was implanted as a young age in me, but end of the story, it's there. And it's so hard for me to rub it out. I think it's impossible. So I have to manage it. And one of the things where I fell foul in the past is I created to-do lists. And my to-do list, Superman, couldn't have finished half of it in a week, with what I expected to be doing in the day. And there I am. At the end of the day, I had barely done 3 things on that list. See, I was a failure, absolute failure. See, I've proven it to myself. And it's just such crappy belief. So to-do lists, brilliant, but they are an ongoing story. They are not something that you measure success or failure by. That just reminds you that there is still work to be done. And only because you set an arbitrary time frame of whatever many seconds in a day you have got, well, guess what? Life happens. And if you have finished your to-do list, if you don't do it so what? But there will be things that look urgent but not important. I mean, do you separate your tasks into a matrix?
No, I don't do the whole matrix. I've seen the Eisenhower matrix. I've read about it a couple of times, but it's like, Nah, not for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much a simple guy, to be honest. I try to keep things simple, like heck, even like with
Yeah.
like to-do lists. Sometimes it's even 6 items is probably definitely the max in terms of what to do. And it ranges from small things like editing an episode or writing
Yeah.
200 words. Those
Yeah.
it's like little stuff like that to basically making phone calls, responding to
Yeah.
emails. Like those are things usually, but like
Yeah.
matrixes, I'm like,
Yeah. But for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, if you imagine a simple square and divide that square into 4 little squares, and on one line you put importancy, and on the other line you put urgency. And so therefore you can basically classify as things that are important and urgent. And guess what? You better get that shit done. And then there are other things that are not important, not urgent. That might be you browsing Facebook, looking for an hour on Instagram, watching Netflix. Don't do that shit if you actually want to live an action and a full life. And then you've got the other tasks that you can separate. So this is that, and you can be quite specific. And if you practice that, you can be actually quite quick of allocating those values to each and every task, and therefore you can highlight the ones that you really need to do. Or if that doesn't suit you, then maybe you just go by gut feeling. And it's hard because, for example, we both are creative people. We do a show, there's some work to be done around that, but there's others more creative things. Like let's say do a new artwork on a show or something like that. I have to say there are days when that just comes to me. And there are other days it's wading through treacle. I can't put 2 colors together if my life depended on it. Okay, so you have to say there will be certain days when the figures just come to you and you do a spreadsheet or you deal with the finances, and other days maybe you are more in the creative mood. So I like that you're saying, hey, there are other factors. You can't just go simply by a matrix of importance and urgency. So no, I like that. But you are very much about celebrating successes. Tell us a bit about the importance of that.
Yeah, definitely celebrating successes, especially those who are high achievers, like even entrepreneurs. I'm pretty sure you, Steve, yourself, you're probably get down on yourself a lot from time to time because you focus on do so much, you forget to take a quick moment and realize, oh, I've actually done this thing. I actually, like, I'm a freaking author. Like, I just
know.
released another book,
I know.
Depression. Like,
I
they're just
know.
freaking awesome.
I know. Have I celebrated? No, not at all. Not at all.
Exactly.
You are right. You are right. That's one of the things that I have to say, and it has flow-on effects. Last night, okay, where to start? Bloody hell. I achieved so much in this year. Every day I actually do a lot of things. So I should celebrate. Yet I keep pushing myself and pushing myself. Yesterday, if I look back at those things that I actually achieved, I have to say, whoa, wow, even 6 weeks or 12 weeks ago, you would have not dreamed of what you were actually doing yesterday. So you should celebrate. But I had completely not experienced the success. So late last night, I was frustrated and I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep working. It was 10, 11 o'clock at night. And my old addicted self came out. And so I started overeating, emotional overeating. That's my go-to when I feel frustrated, when I feel upset. And that was a very powerful insight. And I let it happen. I accepted it for what it was. And it was like a relapse, so to speak, because this year is all about me really becoming the best version of myself. So there I had this relapse. I had eaten very well over the days before, and then last night I stuffed my face with very healthy things, but I still stuffed my face.
Yes.
And I did so because I felt frustrated and I felt a little bit angry, a little bit. There was this kind of this shite feeling. So that is happening when you don't celebrate your successes. I didn't write a list of actually all the wonderful things that I did do that day. Had I done that, had I actually just ticked things off on a to-do list, then I would have been actually maybe so much better off. I had done quite some sport during the day. All those things that I did, I should have celebrated. I didn't, and I paid the price because I let this weird feeling come through the cracks like a cold wind coming through a not so well insulated door. Okay, and it's just no. So therefore, you're so right, man. You're right. Celebrate your successes. But how do you do that? How do you
Yeah,
remind yourself of your successes?
yeah. Heck, even treating myself to some candy every once in a while. I know it's kind of bad advice considering what you just talked about. But
No. There is food for the soul, man. There is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a slice of cheesecake. There is something seriously wrong with eating a whole cheesecake because you're frustrated.
Yes.
There is a big difference in that. Okay.
Yes.
And I was the second part. Okay. So no, that is the addicted me who wants to have a quick fix, and in this case, the sugar fix. And in the past, it was alcohol or sex or whatever it was. So no, that's what we need to learn. And I think all those things that you're saying, they are not magic. There are not, oh, he's a brain surgeon. Wow, he has nailed it there. No, this is actually very sound advice and very beautiful, simple to do if you actually do it. It's like with everything. It's actually quite nice though to go for a walk. We all have got the ability. Who does it? Yeah, right. We don't take action. How do you encourage your clients to take action?
Definitely one of the major things is just reviewing past wins, especially going over the past coaching call. Cause I know even with the discovery call I had a while back with a prospective client, we actually were able to drill down with the whole 7 whys, like asking why over and over again, and realized, oh, so she actually felt guilty in the past about her being one of the siblings and just making sure she doesn't steal shine from the other siblings. So with just that discovery, we were able to help her realize, oh, she doesn't just want to do all these different things of starting this side hustle in the dental industry and then losing freaking 70 pounds. I'm like, they're both great. Like, you might drive yourself into the ground doing both at the same time, depending, being a mom and a wife. But it's like, oh, now we're getting to the situation of, oh, okay, so this is where it goes, and just had this big smile on her face afterwards when we discovered that. Because the thing is, when heck, even goes back to the whole celebration thing, like taking time to truly breathe, just really breathing through the nose, make sure it goes down to your belly, then releasing it through the mouth, doing that a good 3 times, like daily too. Because sometimes airheads don't have air in their head. They just don't have any air. And sometimes you have to give yourself air so that way you can actually stop for a moment and realize, oh, I'm actually alive. I feel lighter. This feels freaking great. And then take stock of where you are. And when you find out that cause, you'll actually have a solution. You'll feel lighter to do more work. So just helping them reflect on past wins since the last call and discoveries since the last call, because sometimes wins can just be those discoveries. It may not even just be that big step of, oh, I finally got my LLC papers done. Like it could be just, I figured out I don't be an entrepreneur. I'm tired of listening to the big YouTube influencers and whatnot. And like, I don't want to do the whole romantic entrepreneur thing. I want to be a darn good employee and rise up the corporate ladder, because it's still there for a reason. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Like, we need some worker bees.
Interesting. I'm just doing a quick check here myself. The last to-do list was actually end of November. And when I say to-do list, also the kind of celebration of it by ticking things off. Interesting. So whilst I'm talking about it, this has been such a shitty end of the year. It was pure survival, in all fairness, for many reasons. And it just shows that I let that habit slip. and to actually have it on cards, etc. As long as that works for you, that's cool. I like it in a book form because I like right now, I could actually hold myself accountable to go back and actually see, well, okay, you're talking about it. When was the last time you did it? Bingo. Okay. That is monitoring. That is drawing a baseline and saying, okay, you want to look at accountability or something like that, to have a means of actually measuring that and going back to have smart goals. Okay. So that's good shit. Do you work with smart goals?
Yes and no. I'm familiar with the acronym. I heard that too. I heard that more than the Eisenhower matrix. You'll hear that more than the Eisenhower matrix for sure. But yeah, definitely like specific timely goals are making sure there's something you can definitely achieve. And really, one of the major things, heck, even one goal I usually set for myself every year is to read at least 50 plus books a year. And funny enough, ever since 2013, I only failed that goal in a way in 2020. I think it was just 2020. Yep. Yeah, because I was able to get over to 51 in 2021. So yeah, so 2020 I failed because the thing was I switched my content intake from reading books to doing more podcasts, and plus coffee shops were closed. So I couldn't do my whole routine of getting out of the house, out of my usual distraction zone to actually get the reading done. So yeah.
See, without reading, I would die. Honestly, it is. I'm a ferocious reader, and I must have more than 50 books. I probably head towards 100 books a year. It's just I speed read, in all fairness. So
nice.
There so I have got this ability, and I read so much, and it's so beautiful because I typically read nonfiction. And I read memoirs and people who have done amazing things. And I try to learn from them and try to figure out how the hell did you develop this resilience to go through that situation. So I try to learn from others, try to see examples, try to see examples of good leadership, or even better, read a book by a great leader. There you go. For example, Dichotomy of Leadership, or Jocko Willink. He has got another book.
Oh yeah,
he's
I believe that field guide, right?
That's right, a U.S. Navy SEAL, and he is just. I love his extreme ownership. That's the other one, and it's. I love it. I love it when you actually look at it. And for those of you not knowing it, Jocko Willink is a U.S. Navy SEAL, and he's now coaching business people, and is an amazing guy. What he has achieved, and Jocko, just if you're happening to listen to that, Jocko, anytime you want to come onto my show, man, you're it. Come on, anytime. Okay, I drop everything. Jocko, come onto my show because your books are amazing. I love the extreme ownership, in which Jocko basically describes that he is responsible for everything. And you think, what? And he says, look, if someone below you fucks up, then that has to do either with you not giving him the right tools, the right teaching, the right explanation why something needs to be done. And if someone above you in a rank fucks up, then your questions need to be: did you give them the right information to make the right decisions? How were you able to assist them to lead? And suddenly, when you take that to heart and try to implement in your daily life, you think, And so it's not, it's all my fault, everything, the world is bad, it's my fault. Bullshit, no. But instead of just, it's their fault, look, he did that, you can actually say, well, actually, where did I contribute to that? And that gives you now power, because you can change things. You're no longer powerless and a bystander, but you're actually an active participant. That's cool shit. And that is leadership, in my words. And I love that. So what you're doing is you're really honing these skills, these multiple revelations, really. You give people revelations, isn't it? Insights that suddenly makes them perk up and think, okay. and you empower them, isn't it? Is that the right word to describe it?
That's definitely the magic word right there, empower. Because the thing is, we all have power within ourselves. I sometimes jokingly say that we all have six-pack abs, just that they're hiding behind a little extra skin material for some folks. Like we all got them. It's scientifically proven we got abs. They don't appear on the body without some kind of protection.
You are quite right. You're quite right. Actually, that's a fallacy. Not everyone has got a six-pack, so there are anatomical variances. Okay, take it from a doctor. So that's fine. But you're right. You're right. That little bit of 30% body fat, that needs to go. Exactly. But then again, how do you motivate yourself to lose weight? Again, by actually doing SMART goals, measure things, draw a baseline, put your focus onto things, keep a journal, do set yourself achievable goals and work towards them. How do you improve a relationship? Exactly the same way. How do you improve your finances? Exactly the same way. So what Dom is teaching you guys out there is applicable to every single aspect of your life. And it's just minor modifications that need to be done. And it is that empowerment that turns your life around and that brings you in, that gives you the ability to turn into that new version of yourself, the new and improved version. I love that. I love that. And I try to do that every day. So, Dom, amazing stuff you're doing. I love it that you hold people accountable and that you go out there to make this world a better place and help people with concrete steps to actually do that. If people like what you do, if they want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Yep, sure thing. Well, before that, thanks a bunch, Stephan, for having me on the show, my man. I appreciate it. Definitely got to thank you for that, man, because it's a lot of hard work to put on a podcast and make it 300 plus episodes and counting. And for those who want to keep in contact with yours truly, Dom Brightmon, head over to Brightmon.com. That's Brightmon.com. And even got a free gift for those who want to subscribe to the Northbound Success monthly newsletter, a nice little free ebook, 21 Success Secrets for Starting, Launching, and Growing a Successful Podcast, all on dombrightmon.com.
Excellent. And guys, you don't need to look very hard. It's down there in the description of the show notes of the podcast and of the YouTube video. And whilst you're down there, press the like and subscribe button and check out all those beautiful guests that I'm bringing on. Equally, if you wanted to jump over to my Patreon page where you can follow my transformation this year, where you can follow my change, because I'm a big boy and I've beaten the odds so many times in my life. Now I thought, come on, I really need to address my own size and my own health. So can I do that? And can I not? Well, I can do that. That's easy. Okay. Just find me someone who pays me, that I don't need to do any work. Give me somewhere a beautiful resort on an island, a private chef, no stress. That's very easy. Okay. So I don't have that. I don't have the money. I don't have all that. I'm a man who's working. Okay, I work 50 hours a week in my main job, and then I do a show, and then I do this and that and that. So how do you do that when you have that amount of good stress, bad stress, and right now in 2023, when the world is not so nice? Can you do it? Can you do it when you're 56? Can you drop a third of your body weight and live a life to the fullest? Oh boy. Well, check it out. That's my story. But coming back to leadership and to Dom, he's the man. If you actually want to make a change, then you need someone who maybe looks behind your mask and helps you to move forward. And what do you have to lose? You need to pick one person. And if you gel with Dom, down there are the informations. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I wish you all the best. And as always, look after yourself and live with passion. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.